All right, let's go. Okay, hopefully that's not going to be too distracting. It's shaking around quite a bit. Hopefully you don't shake off, because that would also suck. Ah! It's an earthquake. Switched over. Ah, shit. All right. Hello. So it's been a while, and you are probably wondering what happened. Well, or what's going on, and the incredibly short answer is I have no clue what's going on, or what I'm doing. But the longer answer is that I'm trying some new stuff. I've gotten some ideas in the midterm. So this is kind of just a test video, just getting some content, since I've also noticed that during my long drives at work that I have probably some of the best conversations with myself. Switched over. Ah, shit. All right. Hello. So it's been a while, and you are probably wondering what happened. Well, or what's going on, and the incredibly short answer is I have no clue what's going on, or what I'm doing. But the longer answer is that I'm trying some new stuff. I've gotten some ideas in the midterm. So this is kind of just a test video, just getting some content, since I've also noticed that during my long drives at work that I have probably some of the best conversations with myself, and I figured I should probably start filming those, because those are quite entertaining. I've decided I'm going to start trying to make videos while driving, and just kind of get that kind of going. Like I said, this one's just a test video, so we'll kind of see how this one turns out. And if it turns out really, really well, I will probably start investing a lot more into making content this way, rather than kind of trying to sit in front of a camera. I think my ADHD prefers it when I'm doing something else. It's far easier to focus on, talking and whatnot. Plus, driving keeps me calm. And while I can have these conversations by myself without dealing with any other external things, talking in front of a camera is incredibly nerve-wracking for me. I don't get stage fright easily. This is one of those things that seriously triggers anxiety and stuff. And I don't know why. I think it's just because I want to make the video as perfect as possible, so it's kind of like a fear of failure, and then as well as just the fact that if I post this and people don't like it, it's going to be a lot of people who don't like it, rather than just the few people that are in the stage or in the audience that moment. So it's just one of those things where it's that's an interesting thought. But anyway, since I'm planning on recording for a while and seeing how long I talk, obviously I will cut out any very long pauses and whatnot, but I want to get at least 30 minutes of content that I can edit down. Let's just go ahead and run you through what has happened since my last upload. To be honest, I was actually trying to get another video uploaded well before this one, during the trip. I think at the very end of the last video that fully uploaded, I said I was going to be, recording and sending updates of the trip and stuff, kind of showcasing what happened when we were on our move from Colorado to North Carolina. But it didn't go well. because I didn't have Wi-Fi to upload it, and my data speeds were very, very slow, so it just refused to basically upload the whole video altogether, which was incredibly annoying, not gonna lie. So I went ahead and I kind of just, forgot about it. Moving to North Carolina, trying to get settled and stuff, I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to even bother recording anything. I'm not going to bother uploading any podcast episodes or anything. So I kind of just put that to the wayside. But to update you from that last video, the following day, or like within a few days of that video, we took off. I don't remember if it was the day right before we took off, or if it was like the day before, or like there was a day in between. But when we finally took off, we took off a little bit late in the morning, just because, we had a chance to sleep in after several days of trying to get everything out of our apartment into the RV, and several trips to Goodwills and stuff to donate a bunch of BS. So we went ahead and got a little bit of a late start, but you know what? It was fine. It was relaxing. And we headed out. The very first leg of it was just getting out of Colorado, because every single time I think about my home state, or the state where I'm from, I always imagine that Denver is much closer to the eastern side or eastern border than it actually is. Denver's almost dead center. So it was like a 4-hour drive just to get to or like a 3-hour drive just to get to the border of Kansas. Then we finally crossed into Kansas, and I will say Kansas is awful. For anybody who possibly watches this video from Kansas is a horrible state. I am terribly sorry, but you will not change my mind. Driving through it sucked, especially with the trailer. The winds were blowing really, really hard, and I basically had to white knuckle the truck the entire time, because I thought I was going to get just pushed off the road, which was very frustrating. But anyway, got through Kansas. Once we finally got out of the main Great Plains area and we started getting closer towards Missouri, it immediately changed. The moment there was some elevation, there were some trees and stuff, the winds weren't blowing as hard, and it was far easier to drive. So I will say that was probably the worst part of the entire trip. Second day, we drove through Missouri down towards Indiana. We went through St. Louis, which was cool, but we didn't go through St. Louis proper. We didn't go over to the Arch or anything. Maybe one of these days we'll do a road trip and actually go see that. But we were focused on mission objective, get to North Carolina. We also uncovered another problem, which was I was under the impression that my truck would be able to handle pulling a 34-foot trailer with, fully loaded, and still have decent gas mileage. I knew it was going to take a hit on its gas mileage, but I didn't think it was going to take that bad of a hit. I went from getting, on average, 18 to 19 miles per gallon for highway speeds, to 10. And basically, we had to stop every 100 miles, which was agonizing. I hated every second of it. And several times, the other thing is gas stations, especially just gas stations in general, are not built for gas-powered vehicles hauling trailers. Diesel, totally fine. If I had a diesel truck, this would have probably been a cakewalk, because I could have just pulled into every single truck stop, pulled up to the diesel pump, just went ahead and used my card, and just hit the road almost immediately after. But gas-powered, not so good. The gas stations are not built for a 34-foot trailer coming through. So it was tricky every single time. And there was one place where I thought I could get to the truck stop parking from where I was. Turns out there was a little lip there that I couldn't get over, so I had to go around. I may or may not, I can neither confirm nor deny, I may or may not have clipped a truck with the trailer on the way out. I will say, if I was responsible for something like that, I'm not saying I was, but if I was, the truck did not sustain any damage. It took it like a champ, and I just had like the tiniest bit of damage to the trailer. Because if I would have done something like that, it would have it was incredibly slow. I didn't scrape it or anything. It just kind of was like a little love tap. So just want to put that out there. Not saying I did, not saying I didn't, just saying if it happened. But anyway, managed to figure out how to get out of that parking lot because that was nerve-wracking. And then there was another point where we made a terrible decision because I was like, oh, I need a gas station. I'm going to need a gas station right now. Oh, look, there's this gas station that's like right outside of a city. I don't remember if this was St. Louis or if this was Indianapolis. I don't exactly remember the route we took. But we pulled in, and I realized this was just right outside the city proper. Yeah, I should definitely not have pulled my trailer through there, but I managed to pull it off, which was kind of magical. My wife in her little hybrid only had to fill up like once every 3 stops, so I was kind of jealous of that. Also, she was pregnant this entire time, and she had the whiniest dog, so she had it kind of rough on her end too, but I would say it was probably a little bit easier than me. The only part that was stressful for her was, trying to make sure I didn't crash. And then we decided, you know what, we're not going to go down through Georgia. We're just going to go straight through from Tennessee to North Carolina. And we started making our way that way. It got dark, and we made a stop. But because we were kind of going a different route, we were like, well, where are we going to stop the night? I was actually hoping that we would just push straight through to North Carolina, like just not stop, just get to their destination, one hard push the rest of the way, because it was only going to be like it was estimated to be just a bit of over an 8-hour drive straight, which meant we were going to probably push it to about a 12-hour drive and just be done. But we decided, no, we'll go ahead and stop. So we stopped at in a town that was just close to the border, but not quite there, in the Appalachians. And then I went ahead and checked, and I was like, oh, this town is one of the highest for crimes. So that's fun. And we spent the night in a Cracker Barrel, which wasn't too bad. We decided to sleep in shifts because I didn't trust it. I didn't want to have us both sleeping and then somebody try to break in. I think there was one person that may have taken a bit of an interest in it, but it wasn't too bad. And then the next day we took off. It was beautiful. We took off a little bit early, so it was just a little bit before sunrise when we finally hit the road, and then sunrise hit like just before we got out of that town. Driving through the mountains, very, very foggy. They don't call it the Smokies for no reason. And then we hit a clearing, and there was just this like beautiful shot of, basically over North Carolina. It's not quite like Colorado, where like you can get to the top of a ridge on the eastern slopes and you can just see all the way to like Denver and almost to the end of the Kansas-Colorado border, because those mountains get high. But you could still see like a good distance away. You could kind of see the rolling hills and whatnot, see through the trees. And there was a clearing in the clouds, and I could see very blue sky and hot air balloons in the air, and that was really cool. Kind of wish I was able to take a photo, but driving with the trailer, kind of nerve-wracking. There was one portion where the gradient actually got steep enough that I had to go into lower gears to make sure that the trailer didn't just push me off and that I didn't burn up my brakes. But that one actually wasn't too bad. Not nearly as bad as like Floyd Hill over in Colorado or anything like that. So it was almost smooth sailing all the way there. Started driving through North Carolina roads, which by the way are way too thin. I'm not a fan of that. the regular job that I was able to get later on, which I'll get into that, I drive larger vehicles, and the vehicles that I drive, one of them for sure is way too wide for the roads that it's driving on. Kind of having to put up with that, which is not fun. But we drove through, no issues, driving through various towns and stuff to get to our final destination. And then we finally get there, and it's a sharp right turn. Shouldn't be too big a deal though. We have the whole street to ourselves. I pull into the oncoming traffic lane just for a little bit so that way I can swing it around. Thought I did a good enough job. Pull through, trailer gets stuck in the ditch, right in the driveway of my in-laws' house. Everybody has a moment of like, oh shit, we're stuck. Like, all this way, 1,800 miles, no major issues. All of a sudden, I'm stuck, and we're going to need to call, for help. And then I shift my truck into four-wheel drive, and I just pull it straight through. So my Tundra did an excellent job. Very, very happy about that. Backed it in, and everything was cool. In-laws were very, very happy to see us. It was pretty fun. And then we got started used to getting... words are difficult. Then we started getting used to living in an RV, and I will say, for short bursts, say maybe a few months, it's tolerable. But when you add in dogs, and you add in a bed that's not built for it, and you add in way too much shit for the amount of space, it's not fun. I do not recommend doing this unless you are like heading for a very specific goal like we are, of trying to pay down debt, trying to get yourselves saved up for a house. That's like, if you are actively trying to do this for the set goal of like getting a real house, and your goal is set for like within the next year or so, I would say risk it. But at like long-term living, I don't understand why people are doing it, and I personally would recommend away from it. I will probably release some update videos of like some of the actual problems as they come up that you have to deal with. One of them being, our RV. Like, make sure you check the pipes. Make sure you know that all the piping and plumbing is good, because we initially had a leak that was really bad, so we couldn't use water for a while in our RV because it was just going to cause problems. We renovated it a bit once we got there. We put in a new flooring. We took out some of the furniture that was in there that came with it, and we got that leak fixed, the main leak fixed. We still have to do a few more things to make it more manageable, but there's only so much we can do. The space is just absolutely tiny. We went from I'm going to say like a 300 square foot apartment to about 125, or at the very least we went from a 2-bedroom apartment that had a decent enough space. Frankly, we actually could have probably used the space a bit better. We had much more room to go with. Our second bedroom mostly just became storage. But we went from a 2-bedroom apartment with like a really big master bedroom to effectively living exclusively in the master bedroom. So yeah, that was a change, and I would recommend really, really thinking about living in a tiny home or a RV well before you actually do it, because I'm going to say right now, not thrilled with it. In fact, my patience for this tiny living space is being tested. So, but after we got here, within a couple weeks, I needed to look for a job because we had no income. I had quit my job about a week early because my truck, even though I'm using it right now, does have a recall on it to get fixed. I still need to get that taken in to get it fixed, but I haven't gotten a call from the Toyota telling me that the fix is ready, so we're kind of just being careful with it. So it's something to consider. I will need to be taking it in within like the next 1,000 miles, so hopefully then I can get it taken care of. But yeah, just kind of had that also on top of this whole drive. And my wife got let go from her previous job much earlier than we were expecting. Can't go into details on that, but it definitely put us in a bind. And it was very, very poor timing on that one. If she would have been able to hold her job all the way until we got ready to move, we would have been in a much better position. We probably would have just chosen to live in an apartment and been much better off. But the main goal was just to get here, so that's what we did. We're here already. We're going to play it by ear, and hopefully we can stay in the RV a little bit longer, actually get some debt paid down, and be able to, at the bare minimum, maybe rent a house, but ideally buy a house, which would be nice. But yeah, and then we went through October. I was working my job. Got a really, really the company I'm working for right now. Very, very nice people. Not had an issue with them. Haven't been able to like really get around and make friends, which has been kind of a little bit upsetting. But it's just mostly because I just haven't had time to, actually go out and do social stuff. Just kind of been stuck. But got a job. Really, really nice people I work with. It's probably the first time in a while that I've actually really liked the people that I've worked with. The job isn't too difficult. It does have long hours, but it doesn't feel like I'm wasting a whole lot of my time. And if it ever gets really, really slow, they have no problems being like, you know what, you can go home. Like, there's not much going on anymore. There's days where they have me stay late, and there's some days where they let me go home early. So it's pretty well balanced, and I get weekends off, which is nice. And then going through October, Angie is very pregnant at this time. She's struggling to walk around. She can't really stand for too long. Her feet are really swollen. And then we go to a Halloween party. She dresses up as a redneck with a beer belly. Absolutely pulls it off well. It's fantastic. Absolutely hilarious costume. And then we go to bed. She washes her face. Next day comes around. So far, we have a really, really nice breakfast. We go to a local place there. It's actually really nice. Get some nice coffee. Kind of do a little bit of a date day, just running some errands. That night, we go to bed. We go to bed a little bit late, and then she's like, hang on, I think my water just broke. And I'm like, you're kidding. She's like, nope. We spend a little bit over 24 hours in a hospital, or under 24 hours. My daughter came into the world, and I will say that's probably the happiest moment in my life. Also the most terrifying moment in my life. Watching Angie give birth was beautiful, but horrifying. I'm glad I don't have to do that. And it was very overwhelming. But my daughter came into the world. She is probably the most beautiful in the world. I will fight you I will die on that hill, and I will fight anybody who disagrees. Half kidding. But yeah, it was definitely a very, very nice moment, and I would say to any men out there, find yourself a good woman, get married, stay loyal to them, and have a kid, because there is very, very little I can compare that to. It is just, it's magic. And I'm so happy. I'm so excited to be a dad. I literally just was overwhelmed with emotion. I was trying my best to keep it together, and the moment that she came out, I broke down. I couldn't hold it together anymore. And whatnot. It was just, it's hard to put into words. But then, the real work started, trying to keep this little bean alive, because she doesn't have a working survival instinct beyond just feed me and I'm cold. But yeah, we got her in. It's been a month now. She was born October 30th. So she gets to share the same birth month as me, so we can do joint birthdays, and we get to celebrate our birthdays during the spooky time of the year, which is really exciting. So I can't wait to start doing some of the fun stuff, but at the same time, like, the little moments of just kind of watching her just be absolutely amazed with everything in the world is so much fun to watch. So she's really, really cool. I'm going slow. I should probably go a little faster. But anyway, so that I think that basically brings you up to speed. Not too many exciting things have happened, so I guess now I can go ahead and kind of get into what I'm kind of planning on talking about on this. And at work, my regular job, I am driving all around North Carolina, everywhere to Charlotte, to Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem. I'm really beginning to learn the area. And then all the way as far west as Asheville, which is a drive. It's about 4 hours, so it takes some time to get over there. It's almost 4 hours from where I live, and while I'm doing my drives, I'm listening to various political commentators. I'm listening to podcasts and stuff like that, and then every once in a while I feel the need to pause and just kind of talk to myself and kind of work through some of my thoughts. So I figured, you know what, I might as well go ahead and make content that way. It's not the entry level for this is very, very low. The bar for making the content is low. Just kind of need to do editing to streamline it, but it's very easy for me to just talk while driving. It's not difficult. Most of the time I'm just talking to myself, so I look like a madman behind the wheel. Still do, but now I can say I'm filming something, and most people will be like, okay, I guess that's fine. I'm gonna have to work on my camera mount because this is a little bit awkward. I think it's just because it's too heavy on one side, so we'll work on getting that fixed and getting it better. But yeah, just kind of chilling, going around, driving. Figured, you know what, I'll just do like a Saturday or Sunday drive and just talk for a bit, talk about my thoughts, some various topics that I want to talk about. It's going to be stuff that just interests me. So if you find it interesting too, cool. Talk about writing, talk about kind of characters, some self-improvement videos, talks about like how you can be better as a person. That's kind of what the goal was originally with my podcast, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that going just because it feels a little hypocritical to be like, hey, this is how you can be a better man, and yet I'm nowhere near that. I'm definitely not doing a lot of the stuff that I'm suggesting. Just kind of talking about, the ideas of it, not necessarily being like, hey, do this to be better, but just be like, hey, this is stuff that I think. Definitely talk about politics. Israel-Palestine will come up. Ukraine will come up. The elections will come up. I will probably piss some people off. Ideally, I will piss everybody off across the political spectrum at least once. Because if all of your views are perfectly aligned with everything that a political party says, they're no longer your views. There should be some disagreement, but hopefully it won't be too bad. And then also, I have a strange interest in economics. I don't know why, but I just suddenly became very fascinated by that. It's something that just genuinely interests me. Talk about history, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll just kind of, go off the cuff, and I'll just share my thoughts and ideas on various things. I think my first official video, beyond this kind of test video, is going to be something along those lines. So it just kind of seems like a fun idea. It's a way to pass the drives a little bit better. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in the work vehicles. I might go ahead and give it a try, because definitely those will be much longer drives a lot of times. We'll see. I'm going to try to keep some of my camera set up with me close by, so that way I can kind of do that. And then I might figure out a way to be able to do response videos, because, as I've been able to show, I can play music and record on my phone at the same time, because the music's going through the truck through Android Auto. So I might be able to switch it over to podcasts, listen to them via podcasts, and make responses, because I can just very easily pause it, play, and whatnot, and then share my thoughts as we go. But we'll see. I'm actually excited. So far, this feels good. This feels the way that I should be making videos. So yeah, if you dig this, not gonna lie, first couple, probably the first 10. I think 10's a good number. Your opinion doesn't matter. Just for the first 10. My opinion matters most. If I don't like how this is going, I'm not going to do it. But if I do like how this is going, I'm going to keep doing it. And then once I kind of got a flow, kind of got a feel for how I'm going to do this, maybe figured out how I'm going to get these videos edited together and whatnot, then I will start needing feedback outside. I got to get the initial ball rolling, but once I get that going, you guys watching, listening, will definitely be the ones that are able to really refine this and make it something special. But right now, I got to get the raw materials out. I got to get the content out, and I just gotta get going. So, if any of that sounds interesting to you, if you manage to actually sit here and drive with me for the last 30 minutes or so, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. We'll kind of see where this goes, where this takes us. And then hopefully I'll be able to start upgrading equipment and really, really going hard at this. Listening to Chris Winston? I don't remember his last name. But he's a pretty big podcaster. He blew up in 2020, and he's just been going hard. He's a British guy who's been talking to everybody. Vast majority of the people that I listen to, he's been talking to them. Has really, really good content. One of the things that he's mentioned that he's learned is from various books and whatnot is to whatever you're planning on doing, whatever your passion is, do it like an athlete. And athletes go hard. They're looking at every little aspect of their life to give them that little extra edge. Because when you are performing at the highest levels, every little thing counts. From the easiest one that I can go off of is Formula One, because that's the sport that I watch. Formula One drivers, every little aspect of their life matters. Their diet has to be done a certain way to help make sure that they maintain a predictable weight, ideally as low of a weight as possible without being unhealthy. They have to do heavy workouts to be able to withstand the G's, especially on their necks, because the helmet weighs their heads down more, and then they're taking like 3 G's. So their head normally weighing like, let's say 18 pounds, I think that's what it is, 18 to 20 pounds. They add on an extra, almost 10 pounds of a helmet, and then they take like a 3G turn. Their head suddenly weighs 3 times as much. Their neck has to be able to withstand that and push through it. So they have to work out their necks really, really hard. The amount of water that they take in has to be high. The amount of electrolytes that they take in has to be high. They have to make sure that their reflexes are strong. Every day they're doing like reflex tests and stuff like that. Some of the stuff that they are doing is insane, and they do this all so that way they can perform at the highest level. Your average race car driver in lower levels, if they're not performing that, if they're not doing that level of maintenance to their bodies, to their minds, and practicing that hard, putting in lap after lap after lap, they're not ever going to hit Formula One. It's just not possible. the caliber of driver that is needed for that is somebody who's willing to basically sacrifice everything into this one thing. So that's what I got to do for this. I got to, you know, even though it may seem a little bit off-putting, I got to make sure I'm taking care of myself. I need to, I will probably look into getting some coaches, you know, diction coaches, performance coaches, stuff like that. You know, I got to make sure that I'm taking care of my vehicle very, very well, because otherwise I can't do a drive. You know, and it's just not going to be as interesting. I'll have to sit in front of camera, or I'll have to use a different car, which, you know, there's ways around it. Different car is not a big deal, but it can mess with the flow. I got to make sure that I'm keeping my mind sharp. I got to make sure that I'm studying the topics that I want to talk about, so that way I don't sound like a complete idiot. You know, a minor idiot, that's fine. A complete idiot's not acceptable. And, you know, I gotta treat it well. Got to make sure that I'm drinking enough water, you know, working out, reading, listening to other people, and then listening to my own videos back, figuring out what I don't like, figuring out what I do like, and you know, working with that. So it's definitely a lot of things to consider. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, and I hope that you guys will stick around and enjoy the ride. Puns intended on that one. So, yep, go ahead and give this a like and subscribe if you really want to see what's going on. Again, for the first 10 videos, next 9, your opinion is going to only matter a little bit, because I got to make sure I like it. But yeah, if you kind of want to be a part of something and see kind of how it grows, I look forward to having you stick around. So anyway, have a good one and take care.